Yeah, it's been nice talking about Monaco this week and the past weeks, but I don't know. It was just a really good day in the end. It didn't start so well, but we ended really well. Great achievement for the team. But now we're in Jakarta, and I just thought, yeah, like look at Monaco. I mean, 3 Nissan powertrains, top 3 in quali. They've really come on strong. DS were really strong in quali as well. Had a bit of bad luck. You saw Jev come through in the race. You got Porsche, always there. And I've basically just named 80% of the grid, right? So it's super tight. Anything can happen. Well, you need a good car. The conditions are difficult. It's very hot. Tires are a big topic. So yeah, I think everything's got to be in the window and your system's got to be right. Of course, there's a driver element. You got to do the job, but it's sensitive with car performance here. And the main thing we're finding as well is just the different surfaces in Formary. We drive on so many different types of surfaces, and we're finding the car behaves differently on each one. So that's something that we've got to adapt to. Honestly, we weren't strong here in Gen 2, but I hope together with Jaguar we can be strong this weekend. Yeah, I think about the prep and my condition probably more than I do at the other races. I don't think it changes my prep too much necessarily, but I'm a lot more conscious of the things that I do. But it's definitely a lot better so far this weekend than last year.
It was good to be back there, up there. You know, since Cape Town, we definitely had some very bad weekends with Sao Paulo, both DNF, and Berlin was a weekend to forget for the whole Nissan powertrain. So, you know, it was good to be back there, fighting with the top guys is always good in every single seater that you race in. We saw some of the difficult points that we have in terms of energy management, in terms of strategies, many little things that we've learned. So now we need to, keep on working hard. This weekend is going to be an important one to see our consistency because, as you say, we did not have many great weekends. We had Cape Town, we had Monaco, but there was 2 race weekends in the middle. So now this weekend, if we manage to do something good again, it will clearly shows that we did find a good performance and a clear trend of consistency. So that's what we're looking for this weekend in terms of performance. I mean, Cape Town, I think is more of a track that suits our powertrain, our car, and etc. Also my style of driving a little bit in terms of high-speed corners and etc. Monaco, of course, is a track that I knew from the past in previous categories. And we did bring a lot of updates, software updates in Monaco. We are not bringing any, unfortunately, this weekend. So that's what I'm saying. Let's see how it goes this weekend. But yes, we did bring some updates in Monaco that these kind of bring quite a lot of lap time. So hoping, this weekend we can keep that performance. That's the number one challenge, I'll be honest. Of course, the physical side, but also for the tires, energy, and also battery temperature. We might be quite limited with tire temperature, but battery temperature. So in terms of pure strategy, in terms of the team, is going to be an important one. For myself, in terms of driving, the whole track is interesting. There's a lot of combined braking, a lot of load, a lot of difficult points for the tires. It's going to be very important on what way you start pushing at the beginning of the lap, because it's going to affect a lot the end of the lap. So in terms of purely driver, it's going to be quite interesting to see how we manage that. It's good to dream. Dreaming is free. So let's keep it up. We'll see how it goes. But of course, as you say, Cape Town, now Monaco was good, and we're always a little bit close. I think Cape Town we could have had a podium if we didn't have the crash on the last lap. So we are close. We just need to finish it off. So hopefully, if it's not this one, it's the next one, and etc. But hopefully this season we can end up with a little podium. Would be a good result.
I think just business as usual. To be honest, it's been a good run of form from us since Sao Paulo, getting 2 wins and a second. The last 2 races, Nick's also been on really good form. But I think it's for anyone this weekend. To be honest, I'm going to try to take last year's results, a bit of confidence. It requires something different here from the car. It's so hard, the nature of the track. So trying to predict what this car will need here is going to be tricky. But obviously getting 2 stabs at it on Saturday and Sunday is going to be helpful. But let's see. Hopefully we can put together a good car and continue the momentum. It seems like our car this year is a bit more versatile at most tracks. So I'm expecting it to be competitive. Last year we weren't expecting to be competitive, but we won the race. So it's formally, you always get thrown, surprises, or what you predict not necessarily always turns out the way you think. But generally the car's been working pretty well in all conditions, all temps, all track layouts. So we expect the same this weekend. I got no idea. Yeah, obviously we tried some stuff for the temperature, and I don't know, it's just all clicked. Yeah, I mean, surface is pretty decent here, to be fair. It's just obviously the temperature of it is scorching. Physically, it's obviously a challenging race, but setup-wise, always requires something a bit different when the temp's so high. So we're going to try and predict that. Also for the layouts, but also this car behaves a bit differently to Gen 2. So trying to put everything together is tricky to try and hit the ground running, but once we get on track, we'll get some information and we'll go from there. I'd say fractionally, yeah. You should be a bit more aware of your fluids and your consumption of electrolytes and water, and also obviously trying to stay cool before you get in the car. Plunge pools, whatever. We've got some things set up to try and control our core temps and try and delay that really uncomfortable heat that we're all going to be experiencing come the end of the race. So last year was really tough. Now we've got 2 races, so we're going to try and recover between the two races and then go again the next day. So it's going to be challenging, not just for us, but everyone involved. Mechanics, engineers, everyone that's really exposed to the heat for the whole day. It's not easy. So it's definitely the hardest, I would say, mentally and physically for us throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think even us as a team, we kind of, in Berlin, we were feeling maybe a little bit sorry for ourselves after the 2 rounds. But actually, when you look at our season so far in one-lap pace and in race pace, Berlin was actually the outlier in obviously in more of a negative way. But it's more like the rest of the season has been as Monaco was. So you could look at it and say, return to form. But I think from my side, I was looking at it as like Berlin was actually the odd one out more than anything. So our one-lap pace has been strong everywhere apart from Berlin, so that continued into Monaco, and hopefully it does this weekend. And race pace is a bit more of a challenge for us, so qualifying is very important, but hopefully we can do more of the same this weekend. Yeah, I mean, it's the same for everybody, obviously, so a bit who manages it the best and who suffers the least as the driver in the cockpit with the heat. But we're prepared for this, we're prepared for every eventuality, so hopefully we're not surprised on track. Our track's really good to drive, honestly. It's very much a track where you're always turning. There's only really obviously the main straight from last corner to turn 1 where you can have a chance to really look at your dash and look at your energy numbers on the steering wheel. But aside from that, like on other tracks, we have much more opportunity to check the energy figures on the dash and see how we're doing. Here we don't have that opportunity or luxury as often. So it'll be a big challenge to sort of be communicating with the team on the radio as to how the race is going for us on energy. I mean, that's the challenge of Formula E, obviously. I've spent 3 or 4 years now on a simulator, and you don't race anybody on the sim. And honestly, I felt like I knew everything about Formula E based on the 3 or 4 years in the simulator. But when you get on track, it's almost nothing like the simulator, actually. The car tells you when to lift, but for the whole race, you don't even follow it because every other guy around you is doing a different strategy, and how that impacts how you have to react in the moment is very crucial. You have to react very quickly. But the race is just, I feel like I'm freestyling the whole races this year. Why we all race is to win, right? So obviously we've been able to do that, so to speak, in qualifying twice this year. But we'd like to do that before the end of the season in the race. I mean, whether that's realistic or not, we're waiting to see. But I mean, the result is a consequence of your process and preparation. So I think the fact that we've been able to get three or four top 5s this year is because we prepared so well. If we continue and keep that up and the race falls our way, then hopefully we get a podium. I mean, in the lead up to the race, there's only so much you can do, really. I tried to spend a lot of time in the sauna just to see if I could get some kind of heat exposure, cycling a lot, trying to keep the heart rate down. But I mean, at the same moment, it's so different when you get here. You can only really acclimatise here by spending time out here. So to be honest, I think it will be a question of just who suffers the least in the car rather than who is feeling comfortable.
Yeah, I think largely maximising what we have at the moment. I think the way the races are panning out with everyone saving lots at the start, if I can sort of hold on in those early laps, almost up till more or less halfway, then the energy targets are quite high towards the end, and it makes it much harder for people to overtake. So I think with the races this year here being 36 and 38, they're obviously trying to make a bit of a difference there. But from what we can see, if you save in either of them quite early on, the targets go pretty high. So I think there might be some more jostling for position early on and people not focused quite so much on just trying to sit in the toe. But we'll see. So I think the races might be a bit different this weekend. For this weekend specifically, this track is not particularly energy biased, so that means the disparity between efficiency and powertrains is not as big. So theoretically, this is quite a good track for us to score some more good points. In terms of the layout, I would say provisionally it's quite good for us in terms of one lap pace, which has obviously been strong, throughout the season. So if I qualify well and hold position in the early part of the race, I think we've got a good chance to get some good points. A lot of street circuits are quite stop-start, or like the V technique, as us drivers normally refer it to. But here there's a lot of combined corners. The track temp yesterday got as high as 66 degrees, which is about the hottest I've ever seen in my career. We haven't had any issues with tyre overheating or deg or anything this year, but this is such an anomaly. Potentially managing the tyre might be a factor in this race, so we'll see, especially, like I say, with the really long combined tractions. We obviously got a lot of power this year compared to last year, and last year already struggled. I know the tyre's different, but what I'm saying is it might be more of a factor than it has been in previous races this year. I think so. I think obviously other teams are recognising that. Now it's getting towards the time where, things start to shuffle around. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy where I am. We'll see. I think for next year, I don't think there's a huge amount of development that can be done within the rules. Everything's quite strict. But I think for season, I think it's 11. Yeah, you're allowed to make some changes, and I think we've got some pretty exciting things lined up. So, if I can keep proving myself as a key asset in the team, I'll obviously be able to negotiate better contracts and, hopefully bring the team forward, because we've got some really talented people, who have been there for a while, and some new young ones. And it would be quite cool to help bring the team up to, I think, where those people deserve. So, yeah.